Trump drops a bombshell. I don't think Ukraine will win. European leaders back his call for a ceasefire, while Zelensky meets Trump in Washington, navigating tense talks and new air defense deals. Budapest looms as the potential stage for a Trump-Putin summit, but political divisions, ICC warnings and strategic stakes make peace anything but certain. US President Donald Trump sent shockwaves through Washington once again, this time with a statement that may redefine how the world views America's stance on the Ukraine war. Trump at the White House on October 20th said he does not think Ukraine can win against Russia, but added that in war, anything is possible.
Well, but they could still win it. I never said they would win it. I said they could win. Anything can happen. You know, war is a very strange thing. A lot of bad things happen, a lot of good things happen.
Just a week earlier, after meeting Russian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in New York during the UN General Assembly, Trump had sounded far more upbeat, saying he did believe Ukraine could reclaim all the land lost to Russia since the invasion began in 2022. Now, that optimism appears to have faded. Trump's latest comments came just days after his reportedly tense meeting with Zelensky in Washington, a meeting that lasted over 2 hours and ended with Trump urging both sides to stop where they are and freeze the battle lines. When a reporter pressed him on why he didn't simply enable Ukraine to finish this war tomorrow, Trump snapped.
You'd be able, you do? I don't think you do, really. I don't think you do, because it's a little more complicated than that, but it sounds easy. We're in the process of trying to make a deal. If we make a deal, that's great. If we don't make a deal, it'll be, a lot of people are going to be paying a big price.
The tone may have been diplomatic, but it hinted at a fundamental shift. Trump, once insistent that Kyiv must give up land to end the war, is now positioning himself as a deal maker, a man pushing for an immediate ceasefire while the guns are still hot. European leaders, including representatives from Britain, France, Germany, and the European Union, have voiced support for US President Donald Trump's call for a ceasefire along current battle lines in Ukraine.
We strongly support President Trump's position that the fighting should stop immediately, and that the current line of contact should be the starting point of negotiations.
The statement further read,
"We must ramp up the pressure on Russia's economy and its defense industry until Putin is ready to make peace. We are developing measures to use the full value of Russia's immobilized sovereign assets so that Ukraine has the resources it needs."
The coalition, originally formed by France and Britain, continues to coordinate military and economic support for Ukraine while developing measures to pressure Russia's economy and defense industry, ensuring Kyiv has the resources it needs. Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are expected to meet in Budapest, Hungary, a NATO and EU member that has maintained warm relations with Moscow. While Russia has previously demanded territorial concessions before agreeing to a ceasefire, Ukraine and its European allies insist that talks begin immediately without preconditions. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's Washington visit last week marked a delicate step forward. Speaking to reporters, Zelensky described his 2-hour meeting with Trump as positive and constructive, noting that the discussions opened new possibilities for Ukraine's air defense.
We trust the United States. We trust the President that he wants to finish this war, and it's difficult. It's very tough solution. It's understandable why. Thank you so much. We are very thankful to the President and his team for the invitation again. And for our meeting, we had productive meeting, long meeting, yes, because we wanted to have a wide plan of topics and questions.
Despite Zelensky's diplomatic tone, sources suggest the talks were heated, with Trump reportedly using strong language to push his points. The US president's patience appears to be running thin, signaling urgency for a deal as Europe and Washington navigate a complex diplomatic landscape. Trump's much-anticipated peace push now hinges on a possible summit in Budapest between him and Russian President Vladimir Putin. It was meant to be the next big step, an ambitious bid to halt a war now grinding through its third year. But that plan hit a snag. CNN reported that a preparatory session between US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had been put on hold. According to the network, there were divergent expectations between the two sides about what an end to the war should look like. For Trump, who prides himself on cutting deals, this delay is an unwelcome reminder that diplomacy is rarely straightforward. Still, he remains hopeful. After his call with Putin last week, Trump wrote on Truth Social,
"The United States' initial meetings will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated."
Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico, a vocal critic of Western arms shipments to Kyiv, has already placed high hopes on the Budapest summit.
The President of the United Arab Emirates is known for his innovative approach to his country and particularly dynamic relationships with all world leaders, from the US and Chinese presidents to the head of the Russian Federation. It is therefore not surprising that a significant portion of our meeting was devoted to the war in Ukraine, where we are both convinced that there is no military solution, and where we place great hope in the Trump-Putin summit in Budapest.
That sentiment is shared by others in Europe's far-right circles. Alice Weidel, leader of Germany's Alternative for Germany, or the AfD, said Budapest was the best place to talk about peace in Europe. But not everyone in the European Union shares that enthusiasm. Hungary's Foreign Minister, Peter Szijjártó, said that many European politicians are doing everything they can to prevent this summit from happening.
The Europeans are not focused on, nor are they interested in, whether the Budapest Peace Summit will actually bring peace. And I have to conclude from today's speeches that the European politicians will do everything they can to prevent this summit from happening in the first place. Instead of being happy that another US-Russian summit will happen, instead of being happy that another big step can be taken towards peace, instead of everything, European politicians continue to support the continuation and prolongation of the war.
Even as political divisions deepen across Europe, Bulgaria has announced it will allow Putin's aircraft to fly through its airspace to reach Budapest. A small but significant gesture that shows some nations are willing to facilitate dialogue. Poland, however, warned Russia's President Vladimir Putin against travelling through its airspace for the summit, saying it could be forced to execute an international arrest warrant if he did so. As the world watches these shifting dynamics, one thing is clear. Trump's approach to the Ukraine war is evolving rapidly, from fiery rhetoric to pragmatic negotiation.